For those of you who played Gundam Evolution, you're probably sad to see it go. But for those who never played it at all, well, now you'll never have the chance to! Like many live service games in recent years, its servers have been shut down. Its code, stats, and all the hard work put into it now just a memory. But hey, I've already had my beef with Bandai Namco. I'm not here to blame them for shutting the game down. What I'm actually here to talk about is the disservice of games as a service. Video games have grown exponentially since I was a kid. What used to be a somewhat niche hobby shared by nerds who wanted to argue about whether Sega could, in fact, do what Nintendo don't, has now become a bigger moneymaker than Hollywood and the music industry combined. At least, that's what Google tells me. So it stands to reason that you have played some sort of video game recently, whether on your phone or console or whatever else you use. It also stands to reason that the game you played is probably some sort of live service game, a game that encourages you to make small purchases to make your character look prettier, or buy the season pass to get all the content, or wait through ads that they really hope you'll accidentally click on. These are games as a service, a shift in the model of making a game to ensure that the customer doesn't just pay you once to play it, but repeatedly, for as long as you host the game. In theory, it means that what used to be a singular $60 purchase can now be hundreds of dollars over years from that one player. But if that cash cow stops giving you cash, well... Now, if you're on the gaming side of YouTube much, you've no doubt seen a video complaining about server shutdowns before. Disliking when a game you played is erased from existence isn't exactly a hot take. And boy does Bandai love erasing things from f***ing existence. But the topic has been on my mind since they originally announced the server shutdown, and I've got some thoughts. See, I'm a bit of a collector. I like physical media, and I like preserving things that are worth preserving. I like playing games that came before modernized controls so I can enjoy their experimental nature. I like reading books and comics from past decades to understand how writers were tackling socio-political issues of the time. I like old cars, old furniture, anything that lets me experience the past as it was. I think preservation of the past is important because it gives us perspective. But in just my lifetime, the question of preservation has shifted from how long the physical media can last to how long we're even allowed to access it. And that sucks. If I pull out Nights into Dreams and turn on my Sega Saturn, it still plays exactly like it did when I was 7. If I put Limp Bizkit in my CD player, it sounds exactly like it did when I was in middle school. Only considerably worse because I have taste now. But if I want to watch Daredevil Season 3, I need a Disney Plus account. If I want to see Batgirl, well, no one can see Batgirl, that's like a whole different video in itself. On a related note, f*** David Zaslav. There was a Ghost in the Shell game, much like Gundam Evolution, that I played a lot because I love Ghost in the Shell. Had the original dub cast and everything. But it never made it out of early access because, get this, not enough people bought stuff. In an unfinished game. Why would anyone pay for stuff in a game that hasn't even released yet? But they pulled the plug. Dead. Knockout City, the cool dodgeball battle royale? Same. Dead. Battleborn, the Pepsi to Overwatch's Coke? Dead. Cliffy B's first game since leaving Epic? Lawbreakers? Dead. Babylon's Fall? Dead. Lost Reavers? Dead. Gun damn it, Bandai, does your bloodlust know no limits? When a game is planned for constant updates and always online gameplay, the company publishing that game knows they need to pay to keep it running. The idea is that players will love the game so much that they'll just keep paying money to play it, and the hamster wheel will turn. But when the hamster doesn't run fast enough... But I really want to drive this home. These games were made by and played by people. The hard work and vision of hundreds and hundreds of talented developers, as well as the history and enjoyment of the people who played them, are just gone. They no longer exist. You cannot play them. You cannot boot them up. You cannot access anything you bought while playing them. All of it is gone. Like, gone. Imagine if you bought Connect 4, started playing it, and in the middle of your game, Hasbro was like, alright, dead game, and it just didn't work now. Forever. Gundam Evolution is being shut down because we, their little hamsters, didn't turn that wheel fast enough. I mean, I only spent $10 so I could play as Heavy Arms. maybe I'm the problem? I didn't fork up enough cash for their free-to-play game with limited play modes and lousy cosmetic choices and drip-feed store with nothing in it and heavy grind in-game currency and a total lack of crossplay, but sure, me only spending $10 is what killed Gundam Evolution. But had I purchased every suit available, that would have run me like $120, and that doesn't count skins, animations, sprays, banners, icons. Sure, you can also grind for in-game currency to get them, but that's almost somehow worse when you find out that all your work will just disappear because Bandai said so. Why do we pay for digital content knowing there's a time limit attached? I've played Overwatch since launch day, and I honestly don't want to know how much money I've spent on it. I got sucked into playing Fortnite, and now for some reason I've spent money on Jill Valentine, Darth Vader, and Goku. I play Fire Emblem Heroes, and I'm actually not going to elaborate further on that. And yet, all the money or time that I invest is finite. I can turn on my Super Nintendo, plug in my copy of Donkey Kong Country in the year of our Lord 2023, and still play Donkey Kong Country. But will I still get to use Harley Quinn in Fortnite in 10 years? Actually, wait, I can't even use her now! Epic's got this thing where they're banning certain cosmetics from kid-friendly maps, which doesn't make sense because the game is rated T for teen, so only 13-year-olds and older should even be playing it. And yet, I'm not allowed to use my skin that I purchased because, in actuality, my purchase doesn't indicate ownership, and nothing we buy is ours. That's the whole problem with digital purchases and streaming services. You don't own what you buy. You buy the ability to use the thing you want until they take it away. I paid $10 to play as Heavy Arms, and Bandai said, thanks, that'll get you 6 months. Nintendo earlier this year discontinued their eShop for 3DS and Wii U purchases, meaning games that you could only get on that marketplace, like Dylan's Rolling Western or Attack of the Friday Monsters, simply no longer exist. As in, you can't have them. Unless, Yarr. Granted, we all know that only one of those consoles is actually a significant loss. No one played the Wii U. The 3DS, on the other hand...
Don't you talk bad about my Wii U.
What? Blue, get out! This is my video!
You apologize to the Wii U.
No, dude, we agreed. These are my videos. You can't just barge in.
Chronicles X, Smash 4, Nintendo Land.
Get out!
Apologize!
No, you!
You! You're the reason Gundam Evolution died!
I paid $10! I have wanted Allan Wake 2 for over a decade, and against all odds, it exists. And it's great. There's so much passion behind it, such a specific vision that can only be created in an interactive medium like video games. But there's one problem. There is no way to get a physical copy to, own. It's digital only. So one day, when they decide the servers aren't worth keeping up anymore, in a form of media that should be timeless, we're applying an expiration date. And it's frankly kind of startling how we're all just kind of cool with that. There seems to be this feeling of inevitability with every online game. If a game doesn't get Call of Duty numbers, comment sections fill up with over-under guesses on how long before the game dies. It's like we're actively rooting for games to crash so we can watch the fire burn. And I think that's a symptom of the disease. People are tired of not owning what they buy. They're tired of being nickeled and dimed in a game they just want to play. And they're tired of being blamed for not buying enough when the publisher pulls a plug. They're tired of games being crafted with the explicit purpose of selling you samey cosmetics and season passes until every big game is nearly indistinguishable from all the other ones. They're tired of games dying because they were made to. Publishers have been trying to get slices of the same pie for a decade, and we're running out of pie. There is simply not enough time in the day for someone to actively play all these live service games. Yet every publisher expects Destiny numbers, even though Destiny already exists. It's not sustainable. So we see games die early deaths. Games that could have survived had they simply been made as games, without the as-a-service part grafted on like a body horror film. It's a disservice to the games they're ruining, to the people who created them, But that's if you consider the developer's vision a work of art meant to be experienced, and the work behind it worthy of validation. Could Gundam Evolution have worked as an offline game we could play years later without servers? Possibly, but that was never the game it was intended to be. Bandai Namco pointed at Overwatch and said, "We want that. Online interaction, constant updates, and season passes for regular revenue were the game's central focus. That was the load-bearing beam everything else was built around. Making the game stand the test of time was never part of the plan. So the question is, why do we get invested anyway? We know the game won't last. It's by design. One day the servers have to shut down. So why do we play them? Why do we pay for skins that one day won't exist? Is this irresponsible spending the fault of a predatory publisher? Or is the time spent enjoying ourselves more valuable than how long that time lasts? Am I measuring worth in longevity when I should be measuring it in the happiness derived? And why am I suddenly getting existential over a Gundam game? I guess what I'm really trying to get at, what this whole video was about, if I'm being honest, is... Bandai, give me back my $10.